For those of you who come into Sandton quite regularly, which has been a little bit of a a bit of a slow start to the year. I know people are gradually making their way back to the offices, but I'm sure there's still a lot of people who kind of pop in and out of Sandton, and you'll know this iconic corner. It's right opposite the Maslow Hotel. It's the corner of Fredman Drive and Rivonia Road, and it's where RAM Merchant Bank has its premises, and there's a fountain on the corner, and there used to be this lion that used to hold up a key, and on special occasions, the lion would dress up and would have some real personality. And the other day I was driving past there and I realized that the lion is gone. Like the key's gone, the line's gone, the fountain's still there. There's still some very clever wording and communication on that building, but there's a new line that's on the corner. And I thought, well, we need to find out a little bit more about this. And joining me on the line right now is Lucy Lightfoot. She's the head of brand at Merchant Bank, RMB. Lucy, thank you so much for joining us for this interview. And tell us a little bit more about this change in the line on the corner of Fredman and Rivonia Road.
So towards the end of last year, we went through a brand refresh for RMB. It's a process we've been working on for quite some time now. And, you know, I think the refresh is really about an investment in our brand. It's about, I think it symbolizes the confidence we have in our business and setting the brand up for future success. So it was a process we started last year, and it really is about modernizing the brand, making sure it's contemporary for the future, and reflecting our business strategy. So, you know, I think historically the brand, you know, was designed for RMB when we were a niche investment bank operating within the South African context. And as the business landscape has changed, the brand needs to evolve too. So, you know, now that we are a fully fledged corporate and investment bank operating across Africa, we really felt, you know, we needed to set the brand up for that success and to grow the brand across Africa. So I think also with the, you know, with the changing landscape in the digital environment, so, you know, our brand no longer operates in traditional spaces. We've really had to think about how we ensure the brand is right for a digital first world. So simplifying our identity has been key for us in this process. Yeah, and I think it's really been about a refresh and an evolution rather than a revolution. So, you know, what we've done is retain many of the aspects of the brand. So we've kind of zoomed in on the lion's head. We've modernized the word mark for RMB. So when you look at it, there's still, you know, there's still aspects of it that really look like RMB, but it's simplified for, as I said, for a digital first world. We've also introduced orange into the color for RMB. You know, that is also there to reflect, you know, the joy of Africa, the vibrancy. You know, I think what we've seen is, you know, blues are quite overtraded in the financial services space. So for us, you know, we wanted to be distinct, and we really wanted to capture that essence of Africa within the brand.
Well, it's an interesting move. I mean, especially the orange, I think, is quite an interesting call because traditionally financial services brands, it's always been very much built on sort of trust and sort of established icons like keys and lions and dragons and sort of, you know, things that kind of give you a sense of continuity and stability and sort of trust, because it is quite a serious business, the financial services space. And are you finding that you're having to put quite a bit of investment into this new identity now? I mean, apart from the obvious things like changing signage and you know, a dozen people's credit cards and the sort of usual stationery, now having to reestablish that brand or sort of reinforce that brand, not just with clients, but with potential future clients?
So, you know, I think like all businesses invest in people, technology, and infrastructure. I think it is about investing in the brand for future success. And I mean, you know, we're not a big retail brand, so we haven't had to make, you know, we don't have big branches and a big footprint all over the continent. So for us, it's something we want to do in a very kind of responsible and measured way. So, you know, it has been rolled out in a phased approach. So you will see it rolling out over a number of months, starting from last year and through this year.
Well, it's also quite a commitment to have to sort of relinquish these brands that you've built over such a long period of time. I mean, the line with the key became such a sort of an iconic brand, and you also gave it a lot of personality by dressing it up, as I say, at the corner of Fredman and Rivonia. And that was always just something that brought a smile to my face. And I remember it's Christmas time, you'd always see this icon being dressed up. I guess this new brand will kind of lose a bit of that character, or are you planning some sort of other sort of way of bringing back that sort of personality to the brand?
So I think personality, and there are many building blocks to making up a brand, and I think our personality really remains. I think there's always been a sense of fun and playfulness within RMB, and we still really, want to capture that within the brand. So, while we take what we do seriously, we don't always take ourselves too seriously. And that really is something that, has been a differentiator for RMB, and is something we want to retain in our brand. So, our brand really is rooted in purpose. I think some of these building blocks, as I've said, we are keeping, and we want to take those forward. So, things like our tagline, traditional values, innovative ideas. It's really a link between the past and the future. It's a philosophy that the founders built the business on, and we're retaining that in the brand as we go forward. And our values and personality remain the same. So, while these sort of aesthetics of the brand have been modernized and fit for a digital first world, all those things that make up our brand really are still true to RMB.
You've also been very much aligned to some really sort of big events in and around Sandton. I'm thinking of Winex that comes to mind. I'm thinking of the Starlight Classics. These have always been very popular gatherings, and obviously during a pandemic, they've had to sort of take a little bit of a back seat and have to be reinvented for the virtual space. But I think once we get to a point again where people can gather, is this still very much part of your strategy going forward with this new brand to be aligned to these kind of events?
Client engagement is a huge piece of our strategy, and a lot of these big events and sponsorships, have really been part of, our strategy in terms of engaging with clients. So, I think last year, was challenging, and a lot of these events moved online for us, and, we had to look at new ways of doing things. And I think that's, as we go forward into the future, it's really about, what's going to work for our business, for our clients, what's right for the market. And finding new and meaningful ways to connect with people. It doesn't always have to be what we've always done. And so I think really it is about, a future view.
It's become a very competitive space, the banking space, maybe a little bit different when you're starting to deal with high net worth individuals, but also once again, there's a lot of players in that field. Lucy, how are you differentiating RMB now with this new brand, also giving you sort of a new wind and maybe some new opportunities to engage with your clients? How do you start differentiating that brand from everything else that's out there in the market?
So yeah, I think that's a great question, and I think it's something a lot of the big financial services players are probably all thinking about. There's a lot of parity across the market, and I think brand is something that really gives us a point of differentiation, and we've spent a lot of time thinking about that over the last year, and I think there's so many building blocks that's within the brand that help us differentiate. So just the tone and the way we message ourselves in the market, the way we show up, as employees of the organization, the type of events and things that we do, and the little touches that we put out there to make a difference. So, I think all of those are ways that help us differentiate in the market. When I just come back to our tagline, traditional values, innovative ideas, it really is about that link between the past and the future, and these the good values that have stood the test of time, and coupled with the unlocking innovation for clients as we go forward. And I think it's that way that we do business is also a way that helps us differentiate.
You've also been the kind of bank and brand that's managed to really also make use of your real estate. I mean, you've got a great spot in the heart of Sandton, and you've done such things as, a Rhino initiative where you've kind of taken your building and kind of divvied it up and said, look, we're going to raise some funds and put some branding on there and put it towards sort of anti-poaching initiatives. Then I think just during lockdown now, recently, you had a projection on the side of your building that kind of lit up at night, which looked really fantastic. Are these sort of the things that you feel kind of make you unique and kind of add sort of a flavor, not just to the brand, but also to the stakeholder that you are in the precinct that is Sandton?
Yes, absolutely, Alex. I think those things are so important for us, and we'd like to think that they contribute to the society and the community in which we live. So yeah, absolutely, that's a big part of what we do and how we intend to go forward with the brand.
Well, Lucy Lightfoot, I appreciate the time you've made for us to chat to you about this new brand and about the new identity that a lot of people will probably see as they come in and out of Sandton. And I think as people start coming back to offices or start making their way back into Sandton regularly, they'll probably see the changes. And yeah, thank you so much for making the time. It's Lucy Lightfoot, Head of Brand at Rand Merchant Bank. And thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Alex. Thanks. It's a pleasure.